What's up, weebs, and welcome back to Anime Lane, the podcast where we take you down the yellow brick road of anime and have a look at everything it has to offer. As always, I am your host, Notorious, and joining me today is Shaun.
Hi.
And Melina.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about, actually, I should put a content warning here.
Oh.
Because we're going to be talking about a fairly intense movie. With
Yes.
Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue, which I think I kind of warned you guys about way back when we picked it. But I should have maybe refreshed that before we watched it.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that warning when I watched it.
Yeah, I like started watching it and it gets to like the first kind of fairly bloody scene and I was like, I should have reaffirmed.
It wasn't even, to go into this like really quickly, it wasn't even the gore that got to me, it was just the intense psychological stuff.
Yeah. I think like that is like a prelude to just how intense the film gets, because it kind of just comes from nowhere. So yeah, if you have any, I guess just general content warning, the film's rated an 18 for a reason. It's trauma, violence, sexual assault.
Yeah,
I was trying to find the best wording for that part.
Listener discretion is advised.
100%. For once, I think we're fairly diving into a fairly adult conversation on this one, I think.
Probably.
And the very contrasting Promare.
We couldn't have picked two completely fucking opposite movies.
No, but we originally had a Lupin lined up, but Lupin just came out before we recorded this, so I thought they'd maybe be a bit close because it was going to be like 4 or 5 months before the next one. And I thought generally Lupin can be a bit too close in terms of not tone, but certainly there's something about Lupin that I find a bit too close to what Perfect Blue is doing stylistically.
I think I get you.
And I think they range a bit more from comedic and seriousness in that whenever we pick one, we're never entirely sure what we're getting. So I was like, I definitely know Promare is far more lighthearted. It may be a better contrast because I don't want too much of a depressing episode. So
you actually did like tell me to like, don't watch Perfect Blue last.
Oh yeah, you were like, you messaged me and you're like, oh, it's time to begin, and I'm like, oh fuck, and you said mediocre purple.
Yeah, because there's a running. I want to call it a running joke.
It is a running joke
with me. Where like, I will say the name of a movie, but I will purposely use like synonyms or something to make it sound completely fucking stupid. So instead of Perfect Blue, I said mediocre purple.
Yeah. You tried with Promare, but that's not a word.
It's not a word, so I couldn't think of anything.
No. You're like, what was it? Amateur horse? Or
amateur pony.
Amateur pony, that's it.
Gets the point across. I like
I said that and I was like, that's a bit of a stretch.
Will this be a recurring segment?
We'll see how long I want to keep this up.
So yeah, did you watch Perfect Blue? You didn't, did you? You watched it last.
I did.
Oh, Melina, we're so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I feel like I should start telling you guys like an order.
If there's a specific order, yeah.
I just watched the one I feel like I'm gonna like most last. That's my general way of doing it.
I get the logic.
But you really thought you'd like Perfect Blue the most?
Yes.
I mean, I've heard good things about Perfect Blue.
It is like, it's very highly rated and it is like a very high scorer on my list. But at the same time,
it's intense.
It's intense.
I'll be honest. The only reason I picked Perfect Blue first was because it was shorter on that night. I just wanted a shorter movie.
Yeah, because Promare's near 2 hours and this is and Perfect Blue is just under 90.
It's in full like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Including credits.
So very manageable,
yeah. So yeah, we'll just start. I won't do all the kind of quirky introductions.
Yeah,
we'll
no lightheartedness for this one because no.
So Perfect Blue, if you haven't seen it, is a...
We assume you've seen it if you're listening to this, but if for some reason you haven't.
If for some reason you haven't and you're listening to this, it's a film about a former pop idol who becomes an actress, and it's kind of a look at the societal influence that can have and the pressure that it can put upon a person. It's very much a look at how idol culture can affect someone's mental health with a a crime detective, well, not detective, but a crime spin on that murder mystery type thing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a very intense movie, which we've established.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where to start.
It's hard to really start, like, where the conversation can start with this movie, because we don't want to dive right in.
No, and I mean the movie doesn't dive right into it either.
No, it takes time.
It takes about halfway through to, like, all the, like, most of the intense stuff to actually happen. Apart they even, like, reference in the movie itself, sort of a meta context when she's, I think it's like her second movie that she's working on, where, like, halfway through this happens, and then after that the plot degrades.
The sense of reality becomes very much blurred, and it kind of I think you see the foundation of what led to Millennium Actress in that section, but I think done much better than Millennium Actress, in the sense that just when you feel like you're like, okay, this is real life, suddenly it's like, cut, we're moving on to the next scene, and you're like, okay, this is all not reality.
With Millennium Actress, it felt like, I don't want to call it a gimmick, the whole reality, like, shifting thing.
It was very much like a big part of the story that you were constantly
it's a
questioning
narrative
everything.
Device, whether whether that works or not.
And I think I know what it is. There was no lead-in.
You just kind of get dropped in, and you're like, what's happening?
You just got to figure it out, whereas Perfect Blue has that lead-in and that build-up to all that stuff, which I think made it a lot stronger.
And I think it's more of like a switch, where it's another narrative device, but it kind of is there to show there's a slight monotony in what she's doing, but also she's not even sure what reality is anymore as well. So it's a nice kind of way of confusing the viewer as much as she is confused as well, I think.
We've sort of started already, and we still don't know where actually to start.
It's an interesting one, because it's, I think, since Ghost in the Shell, our most like serious movie,
definitely heavy hitting.
But Melina, from your perspective,
I really liked it.
Okay,
cool.
I kind of I wasn't sure, because I'm watching it and I'm like, this is I really need to figure out how I'm going to navigate this one. I think as a male viewer, there's like a slight disconnect in some of the stuff I'm seeing, and that how the main character feels.
Yeah.
And I kind of was conscious watching it that I'm like, have I just put Melina in the most uncomfortable position possible whilst watching a movie?
I don't think so. I mean, there are scenes that are meant to be uncomfortable, and even for a male viewer, I'm assuming it would be
100%.
very uncomfortable.
The whole rape scene.
Yes, that really got under my skin.
Which, even though it is, like, in the movie, it's a scene, like, in a movie, it still was very uncomfortable.
100%.
Yeah, it was... I think to watch it as a female viewer, you kind of understand her a bit, because it's, a known thing in the industry, especially like 2090s. You can't say no as an actress. You don't have that position of power. You want to become a good actress, you gotta say yes to anything.
It's either that or nothing, which is kind of fucked.
Yeah, like if we think about like the Harvey Weinstein era, it's like say yes. You do whatever they ask of you. They're like, this is gonna help your career in like a manipulative way. I mean, she chose to do it in the end, but she also said
there was definitely like the overtone of that throughout that whole scene, and like with like the agents like just talking about, and Rumi, who we'll go into deeper.
We will talk about that. Yeah.
Jesus, that was a twist I wasn't expecting. I'll tell you that.
It's funny how you mentioned like 2090s and like obviously the Harvey Weinstein stuff, but I don't think I'm going to say it's better in Japan in the industry, but I don't think it's to the point that we're at here in the West. I still think it's very much, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Whether you want to or not, you are in so many fucked up contractual obligations when you're in the idol industry in Japan. And unfortunately, even though she transitioned to an actress, it's kind of within Seiyu culture, which is the term for voice actors. It's very much like you're kind of a workhorse, you're a bit of a slave towards the labor of it and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think much has unfortunately changed in that regard.
I mean, they were filming this movie, the detective one. I think it was a series.
The detective stuff was a series. It was a series, and she had a bit part. But then I think the rape scene is in a movie that she was in.
Because from how I kind of interpreted it, I wasn't sure whether it was the same thing or not. So I just kind of saw it as this writer has not finished the story.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add.
Oh, yeah, actually you are right.
That is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know why motivations mean probably manipulative.
I think he kind of done that because, and I know this is absolutely fucked up. He was asked to make more for her role. And, you know, from a writer's perspective, if you have a certain idea of how you want the story to go, being asked that, you're kind of like, well, fuck you. Yeah. And so I guess he's maybe done that because it's to push like an idol's, you know, not necessarily buttons, but image? Like how far her image can be stretched before.
Because that's sort of a central theme with her as she's like transitioning from an idol to an actress. Because like as an idol, they sort of show that she had like a sort of innocent, good girl sort of
like
image.
A pervasive thing within idol culture in general. You can't be in a relationship. You can't be overly sexual. You have to be the
it's what we see in like K-pop culture now. It's very much you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't because you have an image.
You present a certain brand, you can't change that brand.
Yeah, because you know people worked hard to get you that branding, so don't go ruin it.
Yeah.
It was very. I liked it a lot. And like seeing that transition between idolhood and acting, I think it was very interesting to see like how it affects you mentally, going from you're on a stage in front of people, like direct feedback to like you see she's very nervous, like running her one line 40 times, like I have to get it right, and it's nice to see that vulnerable side.
Yeah.
It's funny, any lull in the conversation is when we're like, where the fuck do we
go?
It is a hard film to navigate.
Of course, I mean, by design.
Yeah.
The internet is like a core thing to this, but
it's weird how they captured fandom culture so well in a movie from, this was 1997.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
7 or 8.
Yeah, I looked it up like after watching it, and I think it was 97. It's funny because it's so Web 1.0, but at the same time, nothing has changed.
No, I think this was very much, and I don't know because the Perfect Blue is based on a book, and I don't know how much of the internet stuff is in the original book, or if that's something that was added by Satoshi Kon when he was making the movie.
If it was added, then it's seamless.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's scary how much that is a prediction of modern day. And the fact that Satoshi Kon never lived to see any social media that came to be like that it's scary how much he managed to just...
It's prophetic.
Yeah, very much so.
Like the main like rabid fan guy, I'm not even sure if he was real at the end. The guy with like one eye or something.
I don't know.
I don't think we're supposed to really know, but that's in modern times we'd call that a stan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
bordering on stalker, but yes.
I mean, I don't even think bordering on. I'm pretty sure he would be classified as a stalker. She went to the police.
He stalks her.
Yeah. The fact she never once thinks, hey, I've been seeing this guy all the time. I should maybe report that.
Yeah.
I mean, that again is like, you know, you'd say, because this guy's probably, I'm your biggest fan, yada yada. And if she goes to the police, he's like, this is how she treats her fans who love her. How dare she?
Yeah, this is true.
I guess see it going that way if she tried that.
I think the difference being that he is mentally unhinged.
Correct.
Whereas I think there's a contrast in, you see the photographer kind of waiting outside the agency building when she's going to work. But then there's him who is writing all about her day online, and I think there's a slight difference in
literally step by step.
Yeah, step by step. And I think, you know, she could have reported him and been like, and he could have said whatever he wanted, but the fact that he was stalking her is fucked. And I think that, you know, you see it now at least, and everyone can kind of rally around, don't fucking do that.
Yeah, creepy bastard.
Yeah. Whether that would have been the case in the late 90s, I don't actually know.
I mean,
I'd like to hope for better.
You were there, but you were like a very small child.
If this came out in 97, I was just born.
Yeah, and we weren't even around at all.
No. I'm going to check what date this came out, because I may have not been born when this released.
I think you mentioning the photographer, I think that's something we should touch on as well. There are people in the industry that are known to be like, yeah, just take your clothes off. It's
fine. He was very
you
pushy.
Mean the photographer that asks her
professional.
Yeah.
And the fact that I think her ex bandmates were like, oh, he's known for like getting girls to take their clothes off. It's like mentioned offhand.
I think that was quickly. The fans. Was it the fans?
No, I think it was the other idols.
Yeah, like I think also
because they sort of laugh about it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And, like it feels very manipulative.
Yeah.
But it was kind of weird to understand from her perspective because she was still kind of like, I have an image to protect, and still again. It's whatever you want. Like, it's your body, it's your choice. If you want to do that, do that.
I sort of thought, I'm not sure if I misinterpreted or anything, but I thought that, like, she was trying to, like, purposely shed that, like, idol image to go full into...
she definitely wanted
Cyrus.
to move from... Yeah, actually, that's a fairly apt, I think...
Pretty good, yeah.
Comparison. I think, she's trying to move away from the innocence.
I thought that's why she ended up agreeing to the rape scene other than, the overtone of sort of being forced into it. Or at least she convinced herself that she wanted to do it to shed that sort of innocent
we see
image.
later that she didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in that she kind of convinced herself that to get away from the image that she has, she needed to do that scene. She needed to do the nude photography. Even though in a weird way, those end up fueling the fans of that image that she's already built up in a negative way, which is, that is not a criticism on her. That's a criticism on the fan base.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. Because if we think about, like, again, to pull the Miley Cyrus, when she kind of, shaved her head and started going her own way, people were like, excuse me, Hannah Montana,
you can't
what is
do
this?
that.
You can't do this.
I remember my gran went to visit a family member in America when I was 12, 13. And so this would have been right around when she was kind of moving away from Hannah Montana and doing that sort of stuff. And they were like pulling Hannah Montana DVDs off the shelf and being like, no, you can't buy that because,
Yeah, look at her now.
Yeah.
She's cursing.
Which is...
Ugh.
That is a summary of America nicely right there and how
fucked
they are. But, why? Like, if she wants to do it, she can do it.
Yeah. She's a person. She can do what she wants. She's an adult.
And I mean, the underlying point is that realistically, she doesn't want to do it. She just convinces herself that she does, which is, a nice comment on how the industry was
how it like
at that point in time. Yeah.
It's just so hard to talk about because it is very chaotic of a movie, and I love a good chaotic movie, but it's also like finding the threads that kind of weave it all together. It's because I still don't think I fully understood what's happened. I feel like I need to watch it at least 3-4 more times to be like,
second time I've seen
it,
I grasped it a little better, but I still got to the end, and she says the final line, "No, I'm real," and I'm like,
What?
I
will say I grasped this one, I think, a lot more than I did Millennium Actress, which I did still like.
I think that's fair. I think, like we says, the narrative device of Millennium Actress maybe doesn't always work so well. I think it's slightly different here in Perfect Blue. I think it works a little better because it's meant to cause confusion.
Yeah, and I feel like it's more like... I feel like saying up to interpretation is a cop-out. But
it's ambiguous.
It's ambiguous.
It's slightly ambiguous, but I don't necessarily know if it's an open to interpretation ambiguous, if that makes sense.
Because, like, that ending scene heavily points to, like, it was roommate the whole time.
Which to me, it would make ish sense. Like, Rumi's been the one that's been talking to the guy.
Yeah.
And that's why the guy's like, you're not real, because she talks to me. And this reminds me, Catfish, the show?
Yeah.
There was a guy that was convinced he was talking to Katy Perry. Like, convinced this random Facebook profile was Katy Perry. Yeah, like, it's her secret account, what she used to talk to fans. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's pulling a lot of comparisons how fans are very easy to be manipulated. There's a reason.
If they really want something to be real, they'll convince themselves
I think
it's real.
it's a certain section of fans can easily be convinced. And I think that more then points to maybe underlying mental health issues
100%.
that
absolutely
should definitely get checked out. And there's also like a certain vulnerability that someone might have, you know, depending on their current situation in life, whether they're, you know, been single for a long time and aren't good with women in a social setting. They're more likely to fall for that sort of thing. If they, you know, recently divorced and are kind of still reeling from that, they may be more susceptible to that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're more vulnerable.
Yeah, so it's in that sort of stuff is interesting because it's like we kind of look at catfish and it's like, oh, why the fuck would you believe that? And it's like, no, let's actually sit down and unpack why the fuck they might.
Look at the circumstances here.
In this case, like, apparently the stalker had been talking to her for so long. Because, you know, if you have one message on your Instagram, like, hey, I'm Chris Evans. This is my secret profile to get close to fans. I get these accounts all the time.
Hey, I'm Pedro Pascal. I need some money to get to the set of The Last of Us. I have Oscar Isaac here with me. Hey, this is Oscar.
Hello, this is Oscar Isaac.
Would you like an autograph? Yeah. Like, it's a cultural thing now that it's so common.
Yeah.
To have, like, this is my profile that I use to talk to my fans because my manager won't let me talk to
what
fans.
I find hilarious because I'm like, how are you people getting these fucking messages? I never end up with that sort of stuff.
I get so many of them.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I get a lot of weird requests anyway.
I mean, unfortunately, I hate to say it, just by default.
Yeah.
I don't use any hashtags, whatever, nothing. Every few days, it's like, hello, darling. How are you doing? Would you like be sugar baby $5,000 a month, nothing sexual? Huh? I mean, it's bots. We all know it's fucking bots.
It's always bots.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's all targeted at like that, you know, that little nectar of data that people can get a hold of. And just because you don't use hashtags, like they'll be able to see your profile is female and target you through that.
Lovely.
I do find that the accounts for our podcasts and one of the other business accounts I have, which was a parody account I don't use anymore, all end up in random group chats on Twitter. Like they'll just get added to a bunch of random ones. So like that, I guess, is another kind of thing that they're targeting. Sorry, weird tangent.
Yeah, we're going a bit meta.
Yeah.
So I think Rumi. She's the manager / mentor, I'd say.
Yeah. She was sort of the sane.
Very early on.
Ironically enough, she was the sane one, like out of the two.
I did find her frustrating. Mima it's Mima. Continuously says, I want to do these things, and she's like, oh, but think about Mima. And I'm like, bitch, would you listen to what she just fucking said?
She adult. She do what she want.
Because, like, if she was like, oh, you know, I've been through it, I'm like, yeah, she probably has helpful advice. You know, she's gone through the motions. She knows some people, yada, yada. Apparently fucking not, but, you know.
Yeah.
Sure. And, like, it threw me for a loop to be like, oh, it's been her all this time. Because that's how she knew all what she was doing every single day as well.
Because she was, like, talking to her and, like...
I can sort of... I think it makes sense, though, when you kind of... If you go back and watch it, there's some dialogue lines that give it away. Because I don't know who he was. The like guy they were always talking to.
The other agent.
Yeah, I thought he was like the agent, and she was more mentory. Felt to me.
I think she's the agent, and he's
maybe
a manager or something. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. He mentions, you know, oh, just because you failed at it and you didn't make it, and I think she says something similar. And so I think when she said that, it like makes sense that she might be trying to look for something in Mima that she couldn't do herself.
You know, it's the whole, well, I didn't manage to be the pageant beauty queen, but my daughter I will live my dream, you know, through
It was very soccer mom.
Yeah, very
like what I was getting.
Living vicariously through her.
Exactly. Because that's why I was like, she's kind of creepy, but she's like, no, do this. It's because she's like trying to right her wrongs. Like, I went wrong. I failed. But I know now. You know, it's like getting to do life over again, but with all the knowledge you have. So that's how I saw it, and it was like, oh, that's a weird comment, but she knows. She
Yeah.
knows best.
I find it
Finish
odd.
what I started.
I find it odd that she's then like trying to correct a mistake, quote unquote, that she never made herself. She never went into acting. She only done the idol part of it.
Yeah.
And yet she's like, oh no, you're making a mistake. And it's like, how can you possibly know that?
Yeah.
Well, she's insane, so.
I mean, yes, she is
Yeah.
insane. Unsane.
Very not sane.
Very not
Very
sane.
not sane.
'Cause
The last sequence where she was like in the costume, and
Yeah.
it finally kind of clicked, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because we had the part where Mima was supposedly killing people, and the
Yeah.
bloody
Yeah,
clothes
yeah.
were in her closet. And that was the part where at the end I was like, oh, so wait, she put the it was to get in her head.
It's funny because like I was
Yeah.
watching it again and I'm like,
That makes sense.
Yeah. Although it is weird that like they make it. I mean, yeah, I guess it would serve to give it away if they didn't make it look like her.
Yeah.
When she's stabbing the guy in the delivery uniform. But there is like some scenes where it's like, I get what you're going for, but like the final chase sequence when Mima falls from the balcony, I can understand her kind of landing and maybe getting hurt and that
Yeah.
and she'd be
course.
okay. But when Rumi fully jumps from that balcony to the next roof,
Oh, yeah.
her legs would be busted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And not to, shame her or anything, she's not exactly in the
Best shape.
best shape.
Yeah.
No.
And that would also serve to worsen any damage she would receive from that fall.
And going like past that, just to like skip ahead a bit in that chase when she sort of stabs herself on like the sort of glass
Oh,
thing.
like the conclusion where like she's broken the window and she goes
Yeah.
over. That glass would absolutely have just snapped.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
It would have
wouldn't
cut
have
her, but it
pierced.
wouldn't have
It could
like.
it would have cut her, and then it
Uh-huh.
would have crumbled because skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been like like it is in the movie.
Flops down.
Clean.
Yeah, then she just gets back up and it's like,
Yeah.
I like the only thing I was kind of sad. I was sad she didn't get hit by a bus because I legit I thought it was beautiful. You had like the lights coming at her. It sounded like applause. It was her final bow.
Yeah.
I was like, that would have been perfect.
I mean,
it would have also been a nice kind of connection to a line that Mima says, but I have no context for in the movie, where she's like, "Oh, maybe it's something to do with that when I nearly got hit by the truck," and I'm like,
What?
when did that happen?
I don't know, but she says it in a line of dialogue, and I'm like,
I think when she's running on the street, she just dodges. Like in the beginning, she's running after
Oh.
her
Yeah.
vision of herself, and she almost
think
gets
when-
hit by a truck, but it's not very close.
When she's like about to step off and then she realizes this is what the guy talked about and then she starts running, I think is what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Like that
Yeah,
whole
that one,
sequence.
yeah.
"Oh, okay."
it isn't
Yeah,
very
it's a
clear.
stretch.
Yeah, but it is. Because when I saw the final truck, I was like, oh yeah, of course she gets hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Truck couldn't coming in.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's honorable to save her. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't have.
Isekai time, bitch.
Yeah.
I don't get why she saves her. I would have just been like, "Yeah, no, fuck you."
Yeah, fuck off. You've been stabbing me.
Yeah. To ignore option one, which is just mercy,
Yeah.
which is, possible. Compassion.
Yes.
I think I want to possibly, this could be grasping at straws, but this was like not long before this, there was that sort of sequence where it was very Groundhog Day-esque, where like
Oh, she kept waking
everything
up.
was just sort of
Yeah.
repeating itself over. So I thought it was like a whole I need to break this sort of cycle thing,
Oh, maybe. Possibly, yeah.
which that's how I
That's
interpreted it anyway.
That's a good interpretation of it.
Yeah.
God, I didn't think of that. It was a
Yeah.
very trippy sequence.
Yeah.
Once you've reached that point, you're just
My
not
brain
sure.
did start to turn off, but I was like,
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
gotta fight through this. I gotta talk about this.
I got to bring up this is off of the actual content of the movie. I got to bring up the subtitles. They could have used a little bit more TLC. There was a lot of weird moments in them.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I watched this dubbed, so I didn't watch
Oh,
this.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I did think about watching it dubbed because I did see that I think they dubbed a couple of the songs, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
they
that'll
did.
be interesting."
I was surprised when I watched it like dubbed, and I actually heard the songs. And I was like, "Oh wait, that's English. They did the songs."
I didn't expect that.
I want to say, by the way, that opening like song with like when they're singing is like Cham. That's been stuck in my head since I watched this movie. Yeah, it goes.
I watched it subbed.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just felt like it.
I watched it sub just because that's my default with these sort of things.
I recognized sub was becoming my default, and I wanted to switch it up for this one. So I went with both movies dubbed this time.
There's just a weird like. I think more time could have been taken with them. There's a lot of weird. There's either spaces missing. There's a space where there shouldn't be. There's a couple of spelling errors, but mainly my main gripe. The subtitles take up a lot of the screen. Like, they don't put in many line breaks. It's like, so, you have your full 16:9 ratio to use, whereas subtitles tend to be kind of centered.
Yeah.
And there's natural places to break them so that they're nice little rectangles of text.
Yeah, it's the standard sort of conventions.
Yeah, so you're not going one side of the screen to the other in a full line. Most of the film has this, where it's just like...
It's very... I didn't particularly notice, but now thinking back on it, I feel like there were a few lines where I was like, wow!
Yeah. I didn't like that just because that's not the convention of subtitles.
No,
but then
exactly. It kind of takes you away from it. Yeah.
But then it also bothered me at the end where they suddenly switch to doing it properly, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Because in the final scene, there's like suddenly a line where it has like a line break in the proper point, and I'm like...
Oh, we could have done this?
We could have been doing this?
It's all part of the movie. It's reality coming back at the end. It's genius. And not that we fucked it up until the end.
There's no point in fixing it. We're this far.
Look, movie's about to go. Just fucking just go with it.
So yeah. Is there anything else we can say? Anything else we want to talk about? Little bits or pieces?
I'm not sure. I feel like there should be, but I can't think of anything in my mind right now. Do we want to talk about how fucking gory the deaths were?
Oh, it's very visual.
Yeah. I want to say specifically the first sort of murder where like he's in the car park and the music. That almost fucked me up a little.
That comes out of nowhere.
I had to like. I almost had to pause the movie.
Don't pause it there.
Yeah.
You just have to look at it.
yeah. And I almost had to be like, I need to take a minute just to sort of breathe. Because that's when everything just sort of becomes very intense. And another thing, I don't like the eye murders.
Yeah,
it was the eye stuff that was really getting to me as well.
I didn't like that either. There's very few things get under my skin, but a few of these scenes and the way they get murdered in this movie definitely made me.
I don't usually have any specific gore things that like gets me, but I think eyes is becoming one of them because of this movie. I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I didn't really like that either.
I mean, it's still a great movie.
Oh yeah.
And the movie was definitely not. I was gonna say improved by that. That sounds wrong. It was needed for like the theme of the film.
Murders.
It was the theme of the film, and it played well. It's just
yeah.
Because even like I'm against nudity if it doesn't add anything and it's overly sexualized. I think in this case, fair.
I mean, that's pretty fair.
Yeah, like
that sounded so normal. I was wondering where the fuck you were going with this.
Yeah, because it's there were opportunities where they could have sexualized it a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was only at the end, the sequence where we kind of saw the pictures the photographer took.
Yeah.
Where you were like, oh, that's fucking creepy. That's ew. That's
and the
gross.
fact that he's not hiding the fact that he's very excited while taking those photos.
Yeah.
He's like sitting on top of her while taking these pictures.
I didn't feel bad about his death, I'll be honest.
No,
even if it was gross.
Serves him right.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that I thought it was done very tastefully.
Nice.
Just appreciate it. Even though
not the norm for anime, I have to say.
Exactly. There are a few, upskirt shots where I was like,
Yeah. I will say, I noticed that as well, and I was like, that was needed.
I guess because it's the 90s, I feel like the idol costumes were very restrained as well.
Yeah.
Whereas they could have been way more...
Oof.
H.
Yeah.
So yeah,
With
that, I'm gonna quickly. I have the page up here. It came out February 28th, 1998. So I would have been under 1 year old when this came out.
Aww.
I would have been. I was born in July '97, so that's
like
7
months.
8 months.
Yeah.
Perfect time to watch Perfect Blue.
Perfect Blue.
I first seen this in 2017. It's been 6 years since I watched it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, scores, I guess. Who wants to go first?
I'm gonna give this a 9.
That's fair. I think I'm gonna give it a 9 as well.
9.5.
Oh, that's the opposite when the last time we gave like high scores.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
This has been my favorite we've watched. Ever.
Nice.
I guess we should give context to the fact that I recommended this to you about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because not necessarily similar, but it gave me the same vibe as a script that I read that you wrote.
Oh yeah, I remember that script.
Hell yeah.
Okay, wow, you're right.
Because I read that and was like, oh wow, this is scarily like Perfect Blue tonally in a sense anyway. Similar sort of struggles I think that the character went through, and I think you took a different approach obviously, but it was very much, I read this and I was like, oh my god, wow, this is
thinking back, that's pretty similar.
It's also my little niche. I love movies about the film industry. Millennium Actress. I was like, fuck me up. Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And when you add like psychological stuff into it, I'm like, this is it. This is the good stuff.
It's absolutely fucking amazing that we normally resonate, me and Shaun, with the sci-fi stuff. Like,
and you'll hear that when we talk about Promare.
Yeah, the more surreal stuff. And then you're just like, oh yeah, fucking murder.
Hell yeah.
Singers, funky little songs, maker and actress.
People having mental breakdowns.
Fuck me up.
Just injected into my veins.
The thing is, I do love that sort of stuff myself as well, which is, obviously why I put it on the list.
Yeah.
It is a hard movie to recommend to anyone, though, because you have to attach 7 different warnings to it.
Yeah.
It starts with a questionnaire, like, on a scale from 1 to 5, how uncomfortable are you?
How mentally stable are you right now?
Okay, here's my therapist's number. Just have a call. He'll assess it, and then I'll send you a link.
Do you have previous experience with sexual harassment, murder, mental trauma, anything that may be related to this movie? Please let me know. I will not recommend you watch it.
If you're susceptible to these symptoms.
How was the dub, actually? Because I think the dub would have been recorded in the mid-2000s.
It did sound like around that quality, I want to say. Like, either that or like just a couple years after the movie came out.
Yeah, I think it would have been 01.
And
02.
I mean, in my opinion, just going through this conversation, I don't think I lost anything.
No.
I still feel like I felt the same quality.
This is why I've kind of stopped saying, let's watch it this way or that way, like, unless there is like a specific
funny actor.
Yeah, or there's like a change where like the dub, Ghost Stories, the dub and the sub aren't the same product. There's no real reason for me to say.
Yeah, as long as it's not like localization gone wild.
Yeah, no, it's not Pokemon.
Yeah, it's not just any 4Kids show.
No, it's not One Piece where they replaced all the fucking cigarettes with lollipops or anything like that.
Or instead of guns, it's just guys pointing very intimidatingly. But I'll be honest, I was tempted to look up like if the dub was any like significantly different, and everyone just came back, no, it's the same.
No, I think it's fairly the same. An interesting thing about the movie, or an interesting thing about the Blu-ray, I went into the menu.
Perfect Blu-ray?
The perfect Blu-ray. No, it's not the perfect Blu-ray, unfortunately.
Aww.
As I'm about to point out, I went in obviously to set up, it defaults to the English dub, and I pick Japanese, and there's 2 different versions. There's the stereo and there's the surround sound mix. And it was the surround mix that came on, because all of the track is mislabeled in the menu. So the only way you can get the stereo track is to play the movie and then switch manually while you're watching, which is fine. But interestingly, it marks it as linear PCM, a lossless audio format, and it's DVD audio, which isn't necessarily a problem. It's mainly there because I think like to save probably running out of space in the disc.
That makes sense.
Another interesting fact I learned: the stereo track isn't stereo. It's actually the film was mixed in mono.
Oh, it is mono. Okay. That slight mistake I made earlier while you were explaining
no, you were
right.
For budgetary reasons, rather than doing a stereo mix or a quad stereo, which would have been 4.0, which would have been common at the time, Yeah, they've done mono because budget.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, work with what you can do.
Yeah, and I don't think the movie loses anything for it.
I'm not as much of an audiophile, so even if there was, I wouldn't notice.
This is true. I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, it is interesting.
It's these sort of things that, because I'm just sending you the finished file from the disc, you can't see these weird little things that I come across when I'm working on these things.
It's nice to get a little bit of insight.
Yeah, so that's Perfect Blue. Once again, if you haven't for some fucking reason seen it yet, and you're listening to this, you've listened to this whole conversation,
and you feel you're mentally stable enough for it.
Yes, do remember it is a fairly intense movie. There is graphic content, there is sexual assault.
If at any point during this movie, which I can attest to, you start feeling heart palpitations, just take a break.
Take a breather.
Drink some water, but I heavily recommend it still.
Yes, I may put a time code in the description as to when some of the most intense parts of the movie happen, because if you decide to watch this and you're suddenly feeling not comfortable with going for the rest, you can kind of know when to
just just skip.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll move on to Promare, the absolutely wildest.
We're ready to go in a completely fucking opposite direction.
We're
Let's
gonna
do this.
initial D drift into the next lane. So, who wants
Night
to
of
start?
Fire.
Trails of fire.
Oh, I loved this movie. I loved this movie from the second I put it on. I like the dynamic with the team. Just to go like the first scene here, I love that whole dynamic. It gave me, I mentioned this to you, but like the first thing I thought was, ironically enough, Teen Titans.
It does have a very kind of Teen Titans vibe between the dynamics.
That sort of style of like TV show where like it's just like a sort of strong team of like characters all bouncing off each other, doing cool shit. Loved that. It sort of continued on with like the rest of it, and I'm going through really quickly on my thoughts. I liked the biker gang.
Yes, Mad Burnish there.
I feel like I'm moving too fast into the movies right now, so
Mad Burnish show up like 15 minutes in, so you're good.
You're good.
I know, but I feel like if I go on this track, I'll end up just blasting through this whole movie.
You can.
You can.
Go ahead.
No, I don't want to like kill the conversation dead right there. I kind of want to move on to like you guys thoughts just from there. Like I said, if I keep talking, I'm gonna blast through this entire movie in 5 seconds.
I'll once again pass the baton to Melina because obviously I've seen it, and I'm really curious to know what you thought of this movie.
I didn't like it.
For the love of fuck!
We said we were gonna take a break from sci-fi, and you give me "is kinda gay" as a descriptor, and there wasn't a lot of kinda gay.
It was a bit of gay.
It was a bit of gay,
but kinda is more than a bit.
I
was expecting more.
Where's my gay?
Should we give context for that?
Yeah. Okay. So our production management software, I list all the stuff that I've kind of recommended to watch. It's open for these to add to it, but they never fucking add anything to either production page for NAP or here.
I will when I find something I feel is worth adding.
The things I would want to add would already have been considered. So,
so basically there was a bunch of different stuff on there, and I had to add all this sort of romance stuff
for our
Valentine's Day one. And as a joke, I put on Promare, and I tag everything with genres because we've come across this problem where I recommend too much sci-fi stuff. And so I tagged all the different genres, and obviously all the romance ones had romance, but for a joke I threw on Promare and the romance one and tagged it with "he's kinda gay."
Yeah. to be more specific, sci-fi was there.
Sci-fi is there.
Yeah,
so
I know.
you saw
I didn't vote for it.
You did. It was on your 3-tier list.
It wasn't.
It was.
Yes, it was.
No.
I remember it being on that.
I have the list at home. I checked it yesterday. It's not there.
Liar.
No. Because you said, I'm sorry, we're going to put the sci-fi in. Because I said, it's kind of gay, is tempting. But the story itself
I remember why I put it on. Because you wrote a 3-tier list.
Yes.
And we made a bunch of different selections from that. And I kind of went, I'm going to be selfish.
And pick Promare.
And pick Promare.
And I said, well, if it's kind of gay has made me curious. But this, like, the description of story itself, I was like, eh. So I kind of knew going, and I was like, look, I'm going to give it a shot, but it's just not for me.
Sorry. You went in with a preconception that you weren't going to like it.
I was excited for the gay stuff.
If you watch it again, knowing where that goes, you can see they're kind of flirty a little bit.
Yeah, like I'll admit it was. I mean, to me, as a very heterosexual man, I didn't really notice it until the big kiss at the end.
Yeah.
Out of context, it's like a life-saving kiss of life. It's not a romantic.
It's not a romantic thing, but
that's why I was so upset.
No. But if you listen to what Gallo says afterwards, it's very telling.
It feels very sort of, And after that, I was like, actually looking back for this movie, I feel it.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Just in the initial thing, I like the Burnish too much, and the group was too like I like their dynamic, but I feel like it's too common in a weird way.
What?
It's Big Hero 6, basically.
Oh, like the sort of
the types of characters you have.
I think I get what you mean. Yeah, because I've definitely seen that before.
The smart one with glasses, the Chris Hemsworth looking one.
The sort of reverse with me is that I like that shit.
No, the one with the glasses isn't the smart one. She's the little gremlin in the truck.
Yeah, but that's the one that does the tech.
Yeah, the
general smart one.
Engineer.
You have the nerd, which are two separate ones. The strong one that has a bit of an ego. The over-sexualized girl. And the big boy.
I was wondering when Aina would get brought up.
And the big boy, which is usually someone of darker skin for some reason.
Did he have darkish skin?
I think he... Are we talking about, like, Varys?
I think we're talking about Varys.
Yeah, darker skin.
Did he?
Yeah.
He's not in the movie a whole lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was sort of going to go into this, but I feel like the only thing I'm sort of let down with this movie is I wanted that team more in the movie.
I kind of get why they're not in the movie. I think having them in it too much would have been a detraction from the story.
Because there's a lot of characters in here.
There is a lot of characters.
I get it, and I understand that. I feel like it could have worked somehow.
I agree it could have worked, but I think they had... Because you'd have to choose, do we want to, have that team more, or do we want to feel more relatability to the Burnish?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a difficult, because I just like the Burnish more from the start. It was basically X-Men. They were like, well, they're mutated.
Yeah.
And I was like, but why are we putting them in prisons?
You are meant to feel for the Burnish in this movie.
They're framing it in a way where it's like, well, why am I supposed to like these firefighters?
You're meant to go from these are the ultimate good guys to these Burnish are very relatable to the firefighters are ignorant of the truth.
Like they've got no idea. I mean, Gallo sort of like thinks about it during like the second scene when they're in like the pizza place. Like
which I do find a bit of contradiction in, because he comes to the defense of the Burnish by saying they haven't done anything, to straight up when he meets Leo again being like, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you, and it's like,
my guy.
What?
Yeah.
He's very pizza dependent. It's like, can you cook a pizza? Because if you can't, you're all clear in my book. You can't cook a pizza? What the fuck are you? Why do you need this?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Burnish power that gives it the extra.
I mean, the pizza guy was a Burnish. So
he was a Burnish, yeah.
It fits.
He make it the good pizza.
You do.
Because, like, they set it up in the beginning, and it's like, you understand, there's conflict. They're framing these good guys, because firefighters, we naturally associate to good guys.
Yeah.
They are.
When people are burning in a fucking building, yes, they are the good guys.
Yeah. And then to immediately kind of flip the script, but if I know them, it's different. That, to me, was then again, and you mentioned, like, that he flips a bit too fast for me personally.
Yeah.
Which, in the scope of the movie, I understand they had to get through that very quickly.
I think it's maybe they're, like, show... he's willing to be a bit more understanding, which obviously he does later on as he kind of finds out the truth behind what's happening.
But he's also a fucking idiot.
He is also a fucking idiot, yeah.
He has Chris Hemsworth
He has
syndrome.
half a brain cell, and Leo has the other half.
Yeah, because Leo can present himself as being smarter, but deep down, they're sharing that brain cell.
They are.
It's just bouncing through their head.
It's like the DVD... screen.
Yeah, when it hits the corner, that's when Leo gets like the big superpower.
Because I think narratively it would have been stronger to have Gallo kind of be like, stupid as he's a Burnish, I always hated him. So then you can slowly, it would make sense for him to want to kill.
I feel like that would have been more like generic. Though,
it would have been, because he's the idiot with the good heart.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, I think.
I found it more interesting that they actually went with the way they did.
I think it just didn't, because his tropey thing is he's the idiot with a good heart, But I don't know if that was reflected enough by that point to know.
I mean, he is very fucking loud in that battle at the beginning.
Also, he's just not wearing a shirt for anything. And with someone dealing with fire, it seems very irresponsible.
Again.
Just want to say.
Again. To be fair, in the shorts, like, he doesn't even have, like, one... Did you watch the shorts, actually?
Yes.
Okay. In, like, his short, you get, like, that part where, like, he's not given any protection, so he just douses himself in, like, the extinguishing liquid.
You know, we love a king that thinks outside the box.
Fuck yeah. He's just like, if I burn, fuck it.
We'll put some more.
Yeah. Mad respect to that fucking based as fuck action, along with the PowerPoint presentation of his mech.
What I really liked about it, though, was the design of the burnish. I thought that was beautifully done. Then the fire with the geometric shapes, I thought it was beautiful.
That was cool.
Amazingly done.
So here's why I love this movie, right? Colors go brrr. I just love like the visual design of this movie. I'm such a fucking like sucker for Trigger's style, which is just this. Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. This style, that's their look. That's Hiroyuki Imaishi's like main kind of style. Because I mentioned Gurren Lagann to you last night, which was the show that most of the staff, I think, from this worked on Gurren Lagann before.
Okay.
You also mentioned, and I didn't realize this until you mentioned it because I haven't actually watched the show, but Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Oh, yeah, that was also Studio Trigger as well, which Melina won't have any context for whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. You don't have to play the game.
My recommendations have already been fucked. I don't want to.
I mean, you can't really blame me. We have watched like 2 things on Netflix.
Every time they're like, you want to watch some Gundam? I'm like, no, I really don't.
I think I finally managed to get rid of that on my recommendations.
I think that says more about your Netflix than anything else.
Yeah, I don't use my Netflix that much.
I've just like purged it with like Still Game.
Yeah.
And Friends.
Anyway, we're going on a tangent here. Design wise, I just love the like it is very animated in a sense, you know, it's like very lively.
I kept describing it like this movie is unashamedly anime.
Oh, 100%.
I love it.
It was nice to see a little, like, really I don't want to say auteur style, but, you know, it was very different.
Yeah.
Where you can immediately tell, like, oh, this is something different. Because the way the sirens, those lights work, I was like, fuck yeah. Pretty lights go brr.
They do.
I think there was a lot of, like, when the trailers and stuff for this came out and the build up to its release, everyone was kind of, like, iffy on the CG. Because, like, when you watch the trailer, you're like, And then you watch it and, like, everything just works because everything has like such a unique style that it just comes together and works in a way that I think most other CG and anime don't always work. But yeah, I'm sad you didn't like this.
I'm sorry.
I think it's one of those ones that like I do like the story, but I just kind of turn my brain off when I go into this movie.
That's a fair approach.
It's a hype soundtrack. The animation is fantastic, and I am a sucker for mechs. If big robots be hitting each other, I'll be there.
Along with the dub also has like one hell of a cast.
Oh, the dub cast is phenomenal. Did you watch this dubbed?
I watched it dubbed. Yeah.
Yes. So this has. I'm gonna pull up the cast list because
there were names I recognized.
There were names you recognize. There's probably names you'll recognize, Melina.
I didn't think to look into it. I just saw the style. I was like, I feel like this would be fun dubbed.
It was very fun dubbed. I think they got a really good cast.
Yeah, I'm very happy I chose this one dubbed as well.
Yeah. So we'll come back to Gallo and Leo. But we'll start with Ignis, the like leader of the Burning Rescue. That's it.
Yeah, Burning Rescue.
He is voiced by Steve Bloom. Steve Blum?
Bloom. It's Bloom.
Wolverine from the animated X-Men series.
Yeah, who I can't hear any of his voices anywhere else without
it's
thinking
funny, you hear
Wolverine.
You hear Wolverine. I hear Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
You see, that's because that shows where we come from.
Yeah. I wanted to get messy. Then you got Carrie Walgreen. Walgren,
I think.
Lucia, she is the little gremlin in the van. She voices.
Who I recognise from Ben 10.
Ben 10, but she has been in a comical amount of stuff. Like, her filmography is its own page on Wikipedia. So ignoring the anime, because you guys aren't going to recognize anything she's been in anime-wise.
I saw Naruto.
She was in Naruto. I can't remember who she voiced, though.
Girl character in Naruto.
Taya Ranmura. I don't really think anyone that I would say, and people are like, oh, yeah, from Naruto. Cool. But just going, like...
Kim Possible.
She was in Kim Possible.
Yeah, that was Ben 10.
Yep. She's Phineas and Ferb.
Wow.
Penguins of Madagascar. Wolverine as well. She was Emma Frost. So she was an Archer.
Wow.
Lots of...
I saw a Scooby-Doo show.
Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls. Who did she... multiple people in Gravity Falls. She was Priscilla.
That makes a lot of sense.
Priscilla.
Literal trophy wife.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Pardon me.
April Fools, we should watch Gravity Falls.
Where did you... Scooby-Doo?
I saw it down a bit. It wasn't that far. Down. Mystery Incorporated.
Okay. Not anyone I
haven't actually watched that show.
I haven't either.
In a long time, at least.
So yeah, she is in just a lot.
So much.
Her animated, like,
she was in one of the Spider-Man shows from like the years. I'm guessing the 2017 one.
Oh, she was in Velma.
Oh,
let's not talk about that.
Shrek the Third.
Yeah, old woman.
Good for her.
Frozen 2 apparently is
additional voices.
So yeah, Carrie Walgren. Then you got let's see, there may be a couple other ones that you guys would recognize.
Yuri.
You got Yuri Lowenthal. He's the voice of Spider-Man in the recent Spider-Man games.
Cool. But immediately made that I forget his character's name. He's one of the Burnish.
He's Mace.
Okay.
Mace.
Immediately became my favorite just because Yuri.
Yes.
It's my boy.
It's funny, there are quite a lot of voices in here that have one setting, so you can't unhear whoever you know them most well as. For us, Yuri is Spider-Man. For me, Steve Bloom is Spike. Hugh is Wolverine.
And I'm going to add another one to that, Mike Pollock.
Mike Pollock, who's Eggman.
He's always Eggman.
He's always Eggman. And
I was about to say, it sounds very familiar.
He's Eggman in the Sonic games, which funnily enough made me realize the characterization of Promare is basically just Eggman.
Yeah, if he uploaded himself to an AI, which,
I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
It probably has already happened multiple times in the comics.
Yeah, that's true. And then for Gallo, you have Billy Kametz, who sadly passed away last year. Aww. He was only active in the industry for about 6 years, but his filmography is
extensive,
packed. And he's voiced a lot of he was the lead
Lego
Jojo in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Part 4, he played Josuke. He was in Boruto, Hunter x Hunter,
Promare,
Rise of the Shield Hero. He was in the new Evangelion dubs on Netflix. He's been in just so much stuff. He was Pokemon, Attack on Titan. He was the main character in 86, which unfortunately he had to pass the role on to someone else for the last couple of episodes because he passed away at that point.
What did he pass away of, just to give context?
Cancer. He was diagnosed in the February and then passed away in the June, sadly. It was
harsh.
Yeah, he didn't work for very long, but he had quite a big...
He did well.
Work, yeah. A lot of
impressive.
Yeah, a lot of MC roles here, lead characters and stuff. He did well as Gallo. He gave everything there. And then Johnny Young Bosch voiced Leo, who neither of you watched Power Rangers growing up, did you?
I mean, I watched a bit of Power
Rangers. Did you see Mighty Morphin?
No, I wasn't. No. I was too young for that.
You wouldn't have. I don't think they were a big thing in the Netherlands, were they? I'm sorry. Do you not know what Power Rangers are?
Yeah. I watched the live action, like a few episodes. It wasn't very big.
I'm sorry, what? Power Rangers is only live action.
I wasn't sure because I was like, you never know. Maybe in my life I've seen like 10 episodes, maybe.
he was the second Black Ranger in Mighty Morphin, and is like a very prolific voice actor at this point as well.
Yeah, I've heard their pay as Power Rangers was abysmal.
Yes, that's why there were so many Ranger changes in the sort of original run.
There was, I do remember hearing about like Mighty Morphin specifically had like a lot of changes in cast.
Yeah, so you had the original Black Ranger, who was Black, I believe, if I'm remembering who it was correctly.
Which I heard there was like a rumor that there was like the reason he left was because there was controversy around him being Black in the Black Ranger.
This is the thing.
I don't know if that's actually
Mighty
real.
Morphin has a lot of behind the scenes shit that is just bad. Because you have the original Blue Ranger, whose name is escaping me. I'm gonna quickly look it up. Billy.
We're going quite into another tangent,
I know,
by the way.
Played by Billy Yost, David Yost, sorry, who is gay, was a lot of homophobia from the.
Actually, I think I heard about that. Yeah,
not from the cast, from
producers
and behind the scenes people.
Tracks.
I believe Trini's actress Tay Trang, she passed away in a car accident in 2001.
I think she was the Yellow Ranger.
She was the Yellow Ranger,
which, you know, Asian.
Yeah, there's that as well.
Along with the black guy being the Black Power Ranger. And no wonder rumors went round.
Yeah. And then you have Jason David Frank, who was like a recurring character. He played Tommy, the White Ranger, who then became the Green Ranger originally became the White Ranger.
I think the most I've seen of the original Mighty Morphin is actually the episodes about the Green Ranger and how because he was a bad guy.
He was a bad guy at first, and then he became good, lost his powers as the Green Ranger, was given the powers of the White Ranger, became the leader, and then became the Red Ranger and Zeo and Turbo.
Deep
lore. And then he became like a mentor figure for other Power Ranger teams later on.
Nice.
He sadly took his own life last year as well.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and I found out through the most heart-wrenching way anyone watching this grew up was there's a comic of Alpha, and he's holding Tommy's helmet, and you have Trini's there, and he just puts it on.
Yeah.
And that, I was like, no fucking way.
I completely understand this. Melina, you're not going to understand that, but I understand that completely.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It did. So back to Promare.
But yeah, back to the happy.
The happy.
Not go lucky, because there's a lot of horrifying shit that happens in that movie, but it's lighthearted.
Yeah. Then you got Crispin Freeman, who is a legend of the anime community as well. You guys are
King of the Weebs.
But yeah, quite a stacked cast. Lots of really good people, like even Erica Lindbeck, who's Ina's sister Harris. Lot of very well regarded.
Which I kept hearing is Ellis in the movie.
Yeah, pronunciation in the dub, it varied on good and bad. It's not Promepolis, it's Promepolis. Promepolis. Yeah, the way they pronounced it in the dub really just grated on me.
Yeah. I only noticed that because they kept calling her like Ellis, but then like when you got her name reveal, it said Harris.
It's Harris.
And I was like, wait, so what's her name then?
Yeah, it's Harris.
Harris.
Yeah. Where were we going with that originally?
I don't know. What you thought of the voice cast?
Yes, very good, because I'd seen it subbed a couple of times before. I saw this in cinema. Then I watched it when the Japanese Blu-ray came out, and then I watched it when the UK Blu-ray came out. So this is my 4th time watching it.
And it's not ending now, is it?
No, I will come back to this movie multiple times. It's just so much fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. You're never going to watch it again, are you, Melina?
No.
You bitch.
No. One day when you might feel like it. Somehow. You never know. I'm coming back to this movie.
I know it's sci-fi, but like it's fun. I just don't get how you don't find that.
I don't know. At some point I got very distracted because someone said something. Someone get the bus and get the car and their name rhymed with car.
When was this in the movie?
Oh god, I don't remember. I think when Gallo had just been shown like, oh, they spin the burnish and then we have power, yada yada.
The plot of the movie,
yeah. And then I think the governor says something along the lines of bar, get a car, and I fucking lost it.
I think I know what you mean, and that to be I didn't notice that, but now that you've said it, that's kind of funny.
I've no idea what we're talking about.
So
it was during like one of his 500 evil monologues.
Okay.
Yes, and at the end he was like, I
Like
don't think the name was bar, but it was
evilly going
to
a colleague or whatever, being like, get the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then because I watched it with my boyfriend, we were just going insane, being like, Boober, get the Uber.
So you got distracted for over half of the movie.
Well, it lasted like 10 minutes. This whole.
Jesus Christ.
Arguably, the funnest parts are like near the end.
Yeah. I was back in focus at that point, but this threw me off, okay?
That's no excuse for disliking the whole movie.
If that's the part that you like got distracted on, then I'm gonna be honest, you missed like a chunk.
Yeah,
I was still watching it, of course. But it was
you
just
weren't
a funny
focusing.
moment. No. But I can watch without focusing.
No, you can.
If you're not like focusing, you're not getting it.
This isn't me playing Final Fantasy 14 and having Breaking Bad on the other side, where I am actually focusing on it because there's nothing going on in Final Fantasy 14.
And yet you're still giving your life to it.
Look, we'll talk about that in that. But if you're talking, you're not paying attention.
Oh, the only thing I would just say is every now and then is "Dust get the bus."
So your brain is elsewhere.
Barely. If a funny word popped up, I made funny hee hee.
Corey, get the lorry.
So there you go.
That's a stretch.
Say that. But again, I didn't pay attention.
Ted, get the sled.
I was not at my most point of focus, but I still paid attention out of respect for it.
I don't like the way you said that to me.
Out of respect.
No, you guys made it seem like I was just putting it away and being like, haha, funny joke, I'm not paying attention.
You said you weren't paying attention.
I was not as focused as before.
That means you're not paying attention.
But I was. I'll let you know.
Let's just move on, please.
That at some point.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
At some point, I paused it because I was like, I'm not paying attention. And that was near to the end.
Mm-hmm. At least you did that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
because again,
good.
You watch it fully.
Yeah.
With paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry I didn't like it.
I mean, that's fair. We're not always going to agree on
Fuck you, Melina, for having a different opinion.
You can have an opinion and you can be wrong.
Thanks.
I won't be smug enough to call you wrong, but I don't like your opinion.
No, I had a feeling you wouldn't like it. Didn't mean I was never going to pick it though.
No. I understand picking it because I think, again, visually, I really thought it was beautiful. And that for me was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I think you would maybe click a little better with Little Witch Academia, which is another trigger. Well, there's 2 shorts and then there's like a full series based on it. I think I have the shorts on the list.
I believe
for
so,
stuff
yeah.
to watch.
I think it was on my 3-tier list.
Was it? I don't remember that. But then I don't have them saved. I think I have them saved.
I mean,
somewhere.
it was your list,
so.
Yeah.
Oh, they're still on sticky notes somewhere for my PC. So they were taking up too much space on my desktop, though, so I had to close them.
Anyway,
yeah, we've gone some mad tangents there with that.
I don't think we even talked about the full plot, really.
No.
Go ahead.
I
Shaun.
think that this is the thing, though. I think when you talk about a movie, you don't always have to talk directly about it for it to work. Because I'm going to get a bit anecdotal here with it. Yeah. So I saw this in cinema, right? And I have like a couple of stories about it because apparently it couldn't have gone right, I guess. It did go right. It was a great experience. I had no idea what the movie was about. I saw like one trailer and I just bought the ticket because it was Scotland Loves Anime 2019. And so I was there on the Saturday, saw Children of the Sea. Shit. We'll cover that eventually. Weathering with You, fantastic. I skipped Birthday Wonderland. Again, we're going to watch Weathering with You. We'll watch Birthday Wonderland at some point because I have it on Blu-ray now. And then it was the mystery movie, was One Piece Stampede, which did not go over well because it is it's like the 15th One Piece movie. So if you've never seen One Piece,
you're fucked.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
generally,
Seems like a weird choice for a
It was a weird movie. They have Jonathan Clements, who's Dr. Jonathan Clements, who's like an anime, like well regarded in the anime community. He introduces all the movies.
Is his PhD in anime?
No, but he did write his not thesis, his
what's the name? I know and I think I know what you're talking about. Dissertation,
and it got released as a book. I own it.
Nice.
Yeah. On anime, it's called Anime.
Well, there you go. PhD in anime.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was introducing it and he was like, yeah, we won't be doing that again. That was a bad choice. Why did we do that? Like, yeah.
No
you
shit.
Fucked up.
Well, at least they're honest.
That's true. That was funny because we had like a couple of people in front of us who were into One Piece. And we were chatting and then like the film ended and we left and I was like, shit, I should have got her number.
Oh, come on. That was a perfect opportunity.
I know. But before One Piece, I bumped into some friends. A friend from high school who was with his friends, and we kind of joined together and I sat with them. And then when Promare was on the Monday, I went to see it and met up with them. We went to see it. It was great. And we're sitting before it starts and like, the logos come up. So we see Toho. And it's like, cool, we know who Toho are. They do a lot of distribution for movies. And then X-Flag comes up.
X-Flag.
You saw this at the beginning of the movie.
I think so, yeah.
The X-Flag logo. And we're sitting there, we both in unison, the guy I'm sitting next to and me, what the fuck is X-Flag? and someone in front of us very angrily turned around and was like, shh. And we're like, the film hasn't started yet.
No, I think there's a clear rule in like film etiquette, especially cinema. It's okay to talk during logos.
Yeah.
Unless people are speaking during logos like characters, which doesn't really happen.
No, not really.
Like there were 3 logos before the movie started. There was Toho, there's X-Flag, and there's Trigger.
Yeah.
When you see the Trigger logo, shut the fuck up, the film's starting. That's how all Trigger stuff starts. So we see X-Flag and we're like, what the fuck is that?
Fuck's an X-Flag?
Because it not only comes up X-Flag, it comes up X-Flag barbecue, and you're like,
oh, I remember. I was like, barbecue?
I looked into this and I have still no fucking clue. Apparently they're a video game company for mobile games, but except no, they're not.
Oh, fun.
Can't find like a
we'll
page.
Look into this later.
I tried. I can't. Neither of us could find.
I searched as well. I couldn't find anything.
No.
Jeez.
Like. We were specifically trying to look at what their role in production was.
Yeah, they're just listed. If you go on Wikipedia, you'll see like production companies, and you have
they just co-produced it.
Yeah, you have Trigger, X-Flag, and Sanzigen. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Thought you had a vendetta there for a second. Sanzigen.
And like next to X-Flag, you just have in brackets production. It's like, yeah, these are the production companies.
Doesn't mean anything.
Because Promare done the 2D animation, Sanzigen done 3D. What did X-Flag do? I guess they put the money up for
Invested.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were like, okay. I mean, yeah, we're going to be quiet now. Anyway, you didn't have to shush us. That was a bit weird.
Yeah.
She was very angry. Like, very angry.
If you're listening to this,
fuck you.
And then we went for pizza afterwards.
Woo!
Yay.
Yeah, so that was fun.
I hope it was hot.
I think
made by a burnish.
On the Saturday of that year for Scotland Loves Anime, they did the premiere event, and it was in the Biscuit Factory, I think, in Edinburgh, and they had a pizza party with it. But the problem was they ran it at the same time as a couple of the movies that were on in the film house.
Oh, yeah,
so you had to either skip the main event to go see it or go to the main event.
Rip Film House.
Yeah, rip the film house, sadly. No longer
yeah, you're right.
with us.
It's all boarded up now.
Yeah.
That was a great cinema. I
didn't have the pleasure of going there.
No, sadly you never went. I don't really know where to go from there.
Sad.
Yeah. I think we've been talking for long enough.
Oh yeah.
There's only like maybe 7 minutes or something for me to cut out of this. So yeah, I think scores for Promare before we wrap up.
8.5.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
5.5.
Yeah, I kind of guessed that.
Yeah, because I do think the visuals really higher up for me.
I can't leave the episode without talking about the fucking soundtrack, okay? I'm gonna have to bring it up. This fucking soundtrack is a banger. Like, straight.
It hypes you up well.
It does.
It complements the visual style so much, yeah.
It's fire.
This was when we done the music 3x3s in the first episode, and I talked about Hiroyuki Sawano. That's who produced this soundtrack.
Ah.
Yeah, so you can probably tell why I like him so much.
Simp. Simp.
Just because you're not into music.
Simp.
So yeah,
responsive.
I have this soundtrack on vinyl as well, so that's very nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not a marbled effect, but it's like two tone. So one side is red and the other side is white. So when it's spinning, it's very nice to look at. Yeah, we'll wrap up there. This has been a weirdly tangential episode.
Yeah. Just to reflect on my score a little bit, I would have given it a little higher if we focused more on the team.
Yeah,
That's my only criticism.
I think I would have given it higher if the story was a bit better told in places, and I think some characters could have had more to do. I do love some moments that the characters get, like the end when Ignis and Vulcan like smash the cars into each other and like fucking headbutt each other. That's cool.
Oh, that's great.
They don't have enough to do throughout the movie.
No.
I just want to hear Steve Bloom's voice as well.
Oh yeah, I wanted to hear more Yuri.
I want to hear more Carrie Walgren as Lucia as well. Like, I'm so glad they gave her a gremlin voice. Because the Japanese VA has like a very similar kind of gremlin voice. Yeah, so I'm going to end it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Anime Lane. Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye.